This YouTube video is about John the Baptist, who is reincarnated. In my last YouTube video, it was horrible at the end, but I didn't remake it because my niece, who is the hairbringer of death, reincarnated. I try Googling my niece all the time, and I can't find any information about her. She does have a deformity where she's physically deformed. But when she talks, she does the same thing I did in my last video sometimes, where her voice does weird things that it shouldn't do at the wrong moments. And at the end of that video, right now I have a small spirit stuck in my right here, and it's causing me pain. I know why it's there. It's for pain therapy. People might not be aware of pain therapy, but if you're in pain, you don't worry about things that you would normally worry about. I tell my daughter when she's emotionally upset to stub her toe really hard, so she's in pain. That makes you forget about your emotional problems. Sometimes people have emotional problems, and as soon as they stub their toe, they're in so much pain. That's all they can think about, and then they actually start feeling good. They're hobbling around. They're in massive amounts of pain. Then they start feeling good. They're not thinking about their boyfriend that just broke up with them. They're not thinking about whatever just happened. They're worried about their toe they just stubbed. And sometimes the pain you get from stubbing your toe can last a few days. And it actually feels good. It actually feels better than the emotional pain you were feeling. So the point is, in my last YouTube video about John the Baptist, my voice does something horrible at the end. And that's because I have this spirit wrapped around my throat right here. It's causing me pain. And I didn't redo the video because my niece, who's the hairbringer of death, reincarnated, her voice does that all the time. And she looks horrified when her voice does that. Like she's in emotional pain because her voice did something stupid. So I left it there. I left the video horrible at the end because my niece has to do that. My niece has to talk like that all the time. I know. I notice it when her voice does that, and I laugh. I think it's hilarious, but I know it's causing her emotional pain because your voice isn't doing what you want it to do at the right moments. So John the Baptist is an important reincarnated person, and my niece is a hairbringer of death, reincarnated. I don't know anything about her. I know she brings the hair of death before death comes. So I'm guessing something horrible is going to happen in America. So I guess I do know about the hairbringer of death, even though I can't Google her. I'm an Egyptian reincarnate, and so is she. She has a deformity. She looks like a, a person that has she looks like somebody that has a deformed body. And Yali told me she was a hairbringer of death. I know she brings hair of death before death comes. People who are reincarnated might be reincarnated with the same body and facial structures as they normally have. I am the Queen of Egypt, for example. When I'm really thin, my face looks just like hers in her picture. My niece Haley, who is the hairbringer of death, she has a deformed body. Her feet were born plastered to her head, like this. So she might always be born like that. My niece is really sensitive. I don't think her feet should have ever been fixed. She doesn't like being around people. She doesn't like people anywhere near her. She starts crying in emotional pain when she has to be around strangers or be out in public. And I personally feel as though if her feet were never fixed, that she would never have to leave the house. Her family would take care of her. Some people might think, well, what kind of life is that, never leaving? I don't like leaving the house. If I could just sit in my home all day and have everybody in my family go get the things I want and bring them to me, I would be in heaven. So I think the way someone's body is made when they're born tells you about their personality. My niece, who's a hairbringer of death, reincarnated, she was born with her feet plastered to her head. She was bent in half. I think that body shape says that she's really that I say that body shape says she doesn't like people and that she prefers to be at home. So I think it's mean that doctors fixed her body. I think if they never did surgery on her, that she would be able to stay at home where she feels comfortable. So I was born with backwards feet and I'm the Queen of Egypt. That says I don't like to do anything and that I'm very lazy. And that hasn't changed. If doctors never did surgery on my feet and they were still backwards, if my toes were still facing facing behind me, I'd walk really slow. If I got a job at Walmart, nobody would expect me to do anything very quickly. I'd be walking really slow, carrying stuff. So I think the body you're born with tells you about your personality. I wish doctors had never fixed my feet. I feel as though my life would have been a lot easier and better if my feet were kept backwards. Nobody would have expected me to do anything quickly. When I was at school, it would just normally been known that it would take me a lot longer to drop my papers off in the paper bin. Any kind of job I got, it would just be known that it would take me longer to do anything. So the point of this video is they might be doing science experiments on reincarnation. So they know this person was born with feet that was plastered to her head, and she's the hairbringer of death. She brings the hair of death before it comes. That means something horrible that's going to happen to your country or wherever you're at. This person is the Queen of Egypt. She's always born with backwards feet. She's a psychic angel messenger, and angelic spirit channeler. She's always one of those. That's what she does for a living. So I think they're doing those kind of things to people. I went through my niece's schoolwork. She goes to a special ed school to see if it was correct, and I noticed a lot of paperwork asking her about her dreams and stuff like that. And I told everybody in my family that it was creepy, and they all agreed. They all agreed with me that it was. Is that kind of stuff for doctors to know who everybody is when they're reincarnated? I think it should be public knowledge. So I like to tell everybody that. Now my friend John the Baptist is upset all the time. My niece Haley's upset all the time. She wasn't even supposed to ever go to school. She's emotionally traumatized when she's around strangers. People might think, well, this stuff all gets boring. If you're really young people find all this stuff really interesting. My kids find it all really interesting. So it actually doesn't ever get boring. There's always someone new getting born, and those people will find it interesting. They'll go through the reincarnation process. So religion, spiritual stuff never ever gets boring. Everybody has to die. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen to them after they die.